I hope you had a refreshing break. I'm Suvranil, and I'll be your sutradhar or moderator for the rest of the day's session. We've already had an insightful start, and with the welcome note, industry outlook, engaging chat, along with the overview on the business data cloud and business AI. But now it's time to dive deep into the next part of our agenda, which equally promises to be engaging and informative. And to ride on the same note, up next, after this break, we have Mr. Girish Rao, Head IT at Birla Opus, and he will be discussing on how Birla Opus has been able to transform the business by leveraging SAP suite of applications. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Girish.
Good morning. Good morning. चाय पी के भी थोड़ा ठंडा लग रहा है. Anyway, so thanks a lot for SAP to give me this opportunity to speak about Birla Opus. How many people know Birla Opus? Okay, so I don't have to explain what Birla Opus is. So basically, to just cut the long journey short here, we started working on the Birla Opus journey about 4 years back. Okay, almost 4 years back. Now, and I was probably the third or fourth employee that time. The task was to, and you would have heard from in a lot of newspaper articles also, the investment was about 10,000 crores to set up a paints company, and also to set up this thing within a span of next 2 years. So the 10,000 crores company, we actually were tasked with setting up 6 greenfield plants, okay, and around the task was such that most of our nearest competitor, okay, or the leader in the market, we have to have the product portfolio equivalent to them. So that was a target that we were given, and within 2 years we have to set this up. Now all these things, I mean physicality of it was for setting up the 6 plants, but however, to ensure that the 6 plants are up and then the entire network for distributing these particular products and then enabling the sales, everything was to be set up within the span of next 2 to 3 years. So that was a big task that we were given, and we as in the IT department we set up almost 20 different applications we were implementing at the same time, okay, and ensuring that all of them are integrated and work together in a collaborative manner, so that when the business go live happens, which actually happened in April 2024, okay, all the applications are up and running and are able to deliver what is required by the business. So just to give you another perspective, okay, the other perspective of this entire journey was that since we were going to start a new business, we had no idea of how it is going to scale up, how it is going to really work when the rubber meets the road, So all those uncertainties were there. So apart from implementing the IT solutions, we were also grappling with the fact that we didn't have the clarity of when actually we hit the market, what are the challenges that we are going to face, be it in terms of manufacturing or in terms of sales and distribution, or ensuring that the whole business components actually synchronize together and deliver the results. So we actually wanted in 2022, if I am not mistaken, 21 December, is the time when we actually decided our first major call was to go ahead with SAP RISE, and we were, I think, first or the second customer to take this big leap, because one of our major principles was that we don't want to set up our own data center, we don't want to invest in the typical server architecture, we will have all cloud first applications, and that's the pillar on which we took the decision to go on SAP RISE. Okay. Now, that was a decision mainly from the digital core perspective or the core application perspective. But there were a lot of other applications that had to be put in place, around ensuring that the core as well as all the other applications work in tandem and are integrated. That's where we came and we decided on SAP IBP as a product for supply chain planning and SAP EWM for enterprise warehouse management. These are the two applications or two products that I am going to talk about today. So, if you look at it, this has been the journey. We took the decision in 2021 to go for SAP RISE, then we implemented SAP IBP in 2023, then the warehouse automation in 23-24. In fact, this has been happening parallelly, but I am saying these are all go live dates in a way, and finally culminating with SAP Commerce for our dealer management system. So, coming to the specifics of two products that I am going to talk about today, SAP IBP. Again, you would understand from the perspective that we were selecting a product at a time when we didn't even know what are the business challenges could be, how is it going to work. Okay, we just knew from the perspective that a paints industry, what is the kind of supply chain network needs to be established. So, it was important that we select a product which could be scale, which could address the complexity as well as adapt to the changing requirements from the users. Okay. So, and the perspective that we didn't have any historical data also. We were a fresh implementation. So, hence all the historical data which is required for, let us say, forecasting and all those things were not available to us. So, given all these challenges, okay, we went through with SAP IBP. Some of the key elements here that we actually used was long-term planning. So, what happened is, since we were not having all the previous data and we didn't have business which had gone live, it was important that we have a long-term horizon to start with, and then later on build on it to a typical sales operations planning and all those things, which will happen only when the business go live happens. So, I mean, I don't want to rattle out all those things, but to cut the long story short, we went with the typical supply chain planning methodology, which is the M+4, 1 month firm planning and 3 months flexible planning, and also coupled with the fact that we wanted to estimate from the market as to what could be the demand, because again we didn't have any history. So, all the data that was coming from on ground was to be collated, and that is where we used demand planning to get estimates from the field team and aggregate it, collate it, and then do all those runs in terms of to understand what is dispatch planning, and then eventually lead to procurement planning. So, this actually was a complex thing, and the challenge here was that since it was a greenfield project, we didn't have any history. At the same time, we didn't have any data that we could really use for planning. So, we had to, one, depend on surrogate data, so a lot of market data that we had collected by the field team, and that we plunked in and got the estimates initially to start working with. I mean, these are some of the screenshots which from our SAP IBP implementation. So, basically if you look at it, this is a standard implementation in that sense. Okay. But where the key element came in, which otherwise we had compared a lot of other products, the pressure was on us to take products which were not so heavy duty, but take smaller products to start with, because mind you, we were a startup. So the pressure was always on us to go for a simple, small products, nimble products, which will actually be enable us to be quickly on ground, but at the same time, ensure that we go live fast. But as far as we in IT are concerned, we said that if tomorrow, if you have to scale up rapidly, because the aspiration from the business was to scale up or double the business every 6 months. If that is a scale that we are looking at, and that's the speed of growth that we are looking at, a small solution could work in the beginning, but soon will not be able to live up to our expectations in terms of our speed of scale up. So that's another reason why we said that we will take SAP IBP. Am I making sense? Again, these are some statistics and screenshots, so I don't want to delve on it much. So after having now gone live with it almost for 1.5 years now our challenge is to ensure that again our products are getting launched, new products are getting launched, new ranges are getting launched. Our challenge now is to ensure how do we use that data which is getting created. Okay, I mean again to just emphasize this fact that we are using a lot of AI based demand sensing models to get as much as possible clear perspective of how things are going to happen. Please understand that our plants also have not gone live on one day, they have gone live over a period of time. So the entire network planning, everything had to keep on evolving as plants went live, as depots went live, because we started with around 40 depots, today we are around 150 depots. So again the entire network planning needs to adapt to the evolving business and the scale. So I mean for that reason we are actually started dabbling with AI based forecasting models, AI based demand sensing models, but it's early stage if you ask me, but that's what we would be working on now to ensure that apart from the operations, these kind of tools can be used and create more of suggestions as to and counter check in terms of with the business as to whether they can be prompted, they can be suggested, they can use that AI based models as an input for their own ways of working. The other product that I am talking about would be SAP EWM. Again, all our 6 plants are Industry 4.0 compliant, okay, which meant that most and all our manufacturing process is automated. Now, the critical part of material handling was packing material handling, raw material handling, and engineering goods. Now, all this was also automated. Now, if this was automated, okay, what are the kind of tools and technologies that we will have to use? Now, we at a hardware level, use companies like Daifuku, Armstrong, Dematic, and all these things. But they will give us visibility only to at the hardware level using your DCS and PLCs. But to ensure that we also integrate that with the MES system, and that again integrates with the SAP system. Okay, this is what was required to be implemented. Now, the complexity is that all our packing material gets automatically, once the truck comes in, the entire movement from the truck, once it gets unloaded, actually putting up in the racks, finding out which particular bin is empty, moving it, whatever that put away strategy, all those things is computed by EWM, handed over to MES. MES in turn then passes on to our PLC systems to take actions. So that's the kind of automation that we have done. Similarly, at the time of our FG, there is an automated storage and retrieval system which actually tells you where to pick up the material from based on the different strategies that we have put in. Okay. So that material which is required is also getting pulled out from our storage bins at the automated storage and retrieval system. It gets picked up, then is brought to the staging area just to be loaded onto the finished goods, to the trucks for dispatch. Now, the entire orchestration of this happens in SAP. It is a quite a complex system, and we take a lot of pride in ensuring that the entire thing worked on day one when each of the plants went live, and we have been able to sustain this over a period of time. Mind you, this is not an on-prem solution, it is a cloud-based solution which sits on top of RISE or is part of RISE, okay, in a way, but we are able to manage that at the plant with zero hardware related to all these things. Okay. We are using what is called as an embedded EWM, which means it is part of your RISE platform. You don't have to install anything outside that. Okay. So, just to delve on this point, after having implemented EWM at the plants, which was a more complex, we implemented EWM at all the depots. Now, here the complexity is handling variety of products. Plants typically would have a product limitation in terms of either it will make exterior paint or interior or decorative paints or enamels or things like that, but at the plant all of them come together to handling that complexity and ensuring that they are stored in different bins. Again we are using EWM. So, again we are using embedded EWM and using it at 150 depots. So, this is a lighter version of what is implemented at the plant. Just to give you some statistics, if you look at it, telegrams technically, okay, telegrams are the messages that are being used to communicate with the hardware. Okay. SAP uses telegram messages to communicate with the hardware. So, around 14,000 K telegrams have been exchanged between SAP and our hardware systems through the PLCs and DCS systems. 99.9% accuracy of storage and retrieval. That is possible only because the strategy is defined in SAP. SAP gives the suggestion that is getting translated into your actual commands for the hardware, okay, through the PLCs, and then the actual action happens. So, these are the different systems that we have integrated with. And this is a architecture that we use. So, this if you look at it is your packing material, this is your FG related equipments. Then we have robots which packs and all those things. So, all these are integrated through the, finally the base command comes from SAP, what needs to be done at a macro level. Again here around 13,000 K. This is overall an architecture that we are using at the enterprise level. Okay. So, we have SAP EWM that works for the plants, apart from the digital core which is SAP. Okay. We have on the sales side SAP Commerce. Okay. In between we have SAP IBP, which is being used as a glue or to connect the entire value chain from manufacturing to dispatch and distribution and sales. I will take a few minutes of questions if possible. I don't know if we have the time, but this is my last slide. So, any question?
Hi Girish, this
Hi.
is Satyavan from Birla Carbon. I would like to ask, since this is a very complex architecture and there is like, end-to-end automation is there. I have seen the plant so I can visualize how complex it is. I would like to know how long it took for you to test the entire system and be 100% confident that this is going to work for you.
So typically from the time when that let us say the plant is ready, okay, ready, I mean the factory testing has been done of all the equipments, okay, the hardware, the PLCs and the DCS. That after that it takes around 2.5 to 3 months to first implement and test out the entire life cycle, right from SAP to your end equipment where the talking happens, where the actual execution happens.
And is there any simulation tool that you used to make sure that the system is working perfectly as expected?
We actually, frankly speaking, we use the typical development quality server, that kind of a methodology. Okay.
No, not from IT point of view, but the entire
No.
material movement point of view, the
No,
simulation
so
software.
to answer that, in MES also there are simulation tools. Okay, we are using ABB MES. Okay, and they have simulation tools where without actually the machines working, you can simulate as to the entire activity that is happening. So those are the simulation tools. But from SAP context, we use the standard development application, quality and production. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what an insightful one. And thanks to Mr. Girish for actually bringing this part up, that emphasizing on the fast-paced, speed of scale-up from AI-based sensing models to implementing it at a huge, large scale in their plant.